This is Wickham Sound.
Hello, and welcome to the Art Show on 106.6 FM at Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. This is the weekly show running 7 till 8 PM every Tuesday. Get it in your diaries, where we talk about the local arts. We have different guests on each week, share a few recommendations of entertainment-y pieces to keep you going, and also talk a lot about the local community events and that sort of thing. You can find us on Facebook. If you just search for The Art Show Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. And you can also email me here at the studio on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. And I particularly want to hear from musicians, poets, and other people in the local area who have any kind of MP3s that they could send over that we could potentially play on the show. So before we jump into the show, a few bits of news here and there. Well, last Sunday was Music in the Garden at Wickham Arts Centre, which is an event I helped to organise, and me and my friend Dave and the Ilk, we opened the event as well and then had a ton of other local acts. So it was a lot of fun, obviously a challenge in these trying times to host events safely and securely, but I think we're able to to roll with the updates and to make sure that, we're keeping people in groups of no more than 6 and maintaining social distancing and all of this stuff. But it was a great event, and hopefully we'll be able to do some more. I'm not sure how many more we can squeeze in before it gets too cold to do them outside, but I suppose we'll see. Speaking of the Arts Centre, a couple of things coming up later this year in November. I'll actually remind you closer to the time, but there's humming bee yoga sessions. So there are, small group classes. I think the groups are already below the, the maximum number of 6, and these have been planned for quite a while. Because again, it's all about trying to keep people safe as possible. And if you can, go above and beyond whatever the bare minimum that you have to do to put on an event, then even better. So there's that, and then towards the end of November, there's going to be a taster session for the book Sewing Bee, and this is run by Juliet Hamilton of, what's the company called? She used to run Kitch Me Quick, and now she's the Tired Dressmaker. And she's fantastic. She actually made the face covering that I'm currently wearing, and I think at this taster session she'll be teaching people how to make their own as well. And Juliet will hopefully be a guest on the show, possibly in next week's show, so we can get her to tell us all about it and what you can expect. I also have this that I want to share from Victoria Von Dredd, who was one of our guests a few weeks back. So Victoria said, "Friends and fellow creatives, if you have a good but terrifying idea for a 2 to 5 minute film with a dark, occult, folk horror or medical theme, Dreadful's Theatre are taking submissions for such a beast. The final film is going to be shown as part of a well-known horror festival this October. Read the post to find out more or contact me directly." And so the original post says, "Looking for short film submissions, deadline Monday the 28th of September 2020. We're inviting theatre makers, filmmakers, performers, dancers, puppeteers and other creatives to submit a short filmed scene for an online choose-your-own-adventure project that will be shown as part of a well-known UK horror festival this October. Films should fit one or more of the following themes: dark, occult, folk horror or medical. Films should be between 2 and 5 minutes long. Participation is free, there's no fee to submit the film, and you can email dreadfulstheatre@hotmail.com for full details." I also wanted to share something from Wickham Museum as well. So they're creating a digital exhibition called Me in My Chair, and they put a call out for submissions. So they said, please send a photo of you in your chair and include why this chair is special to you, your name and your postcode. Send your photos to Catherine.Grigg, that's CATHERINE.GRIGG @wickhammuseum.org by the 30th of September. So do go ahead and participate in that if you want to. I also feel duty-bound to let you know what's going on at Wickham Arts Centre. So we've got the Rock Project in every Thursday. It's essentially, if you check out the website for more information, wickhamartscentre.com, but basically they offer kind of music lessons and the opportunity to participate in, a band. They're doing all socially distanced and obviously groups of a maximum of 6, and because the Art Centre as well, it's got a couple of different spaces, so there's lots of room to socially distance for those as well. And you can just Google the Rock Project and you'll be able to find out more on their website. They run a few different locations, so there may be even a different location that's more convenient for you. In November as well, we've got Humming Bee yoga sessions running, and also a book sewing bee, where there's going to be a taster session for this sort of program. And then in the new year, I think from January to March-ish, there's going to be a bunch of workshops that you can take part in to learn how to sort of recycle and repurpose clothing. And those are going to be from Juliet Hamilton. She used to run Kitsch Me Quick, the shop, and now she runs The Tired Dressmaker. And we're going to get her on a future show to talk a little bit more about that as well. So keep your ears peeled for that. So we're going to play a little bit of local music now, and I'm going to give you some more information on a band that we listened to last week. So we had Get 'Em Up Joe, I think it was, we had last week. This is Straight 8. They were formed in 1989, which is the year I was born. I don't know, I'm sure they're listening, so that probably made them feel old. I'm sorry. But it's impressive to have been together for as a group for that long. So yeah, I've got their bio here, and also I'm going to give them shout outs as the members. So we have Neil DaCosta as the singer, Lee Armstrong singer, Vicky Ware singer, Dick Hansen on trumpet, Kim North on bass guitar, Jeremy Beavan on drums, Nick Ware on saxophones, Jim on lead guitar, Robert Van Ryn on trumpet, Gary on bass trombone. I think that's everybody. No, Grant Sellers on percussion, Adam the sound engineer, Greg Sheffield the super sub, and I think that's it. There we go. And yeah, I saw Kim post on Facebook, and I need to call myself out on air for this, because I just saw, I guess, the name Kim and the fact that I knew they'd posted saying they were a bassist, and I was a bit surprised because I was like, oh, a female bassist, you don't get that often. And not only should I call myself out for, you know, making that assumption that you know, female bassists aren't a thing or whatever, but also I was also wrong in assuming that Kim as a name was a female name, because Kim is a dude. So food for thought there. Actually, saying all that, I know 2 female bassists, so shout out to Angelina Emanuel and Beatriz Del Rio. Maybe that's why I assumed that Kim was a female bassist, because they are actually everywhere now. Oh, sorry, Kat, I didn't mean to elbow you in the face. Straight 8, formed 1989, are not just musicians, they're entertainers with an emphasis on having fun. Unique in that the horn section are core to the performance, up front with the singers and taking an active part in the show, concentrating on upbeat soul and blues with an emphasis on danceable songs that audiences love to hear. Although some bizarre rehearsal accidents have resulted in unusual combinations of numbers on occasions. The band in the colourful zoot suits are not afraid to have a good time, but the music always comes first, ensuring that the band are always ready to do what they do best, performing to a full dance floor. Prepare to enjoy yourselves. If only we could see their colourful zoot suits, eh? So this is Mustang Sally by Straight Edge. Obviously it's their cover of, was it Wilson Pickett? I think it was Wilson Pickett.
Mustang Sally, think you better slow your Mustang down. That's right now, baby. Mustang Sally now, baby. Alright.
Love music, love talk, love Wickham Sound.
Being a foster carer isn't just about providing vulnerable children a safe home. It's about loving, listening and guiding. It's about changing their lives. If there's space in your home and you have the time and patience, then Nexus Fostering wants to hear from you. We're your local fostering agency, rated outstanding by Ofsted, and we're here to support you in supporting them with full training and a competitive allowance. For a career that really makes a difference, visit nexusfostering.co.uk or call 0800 389 0143.
From the 1st of April, your new Buckinghamshire Council will replace the existing county and district councils and continue to deliver all the services you are used to. Visit buckinghamshire.gov.uk.
Sunday evenings on Wickham Sound.
If your idea of a fun festival experience is a mashup of metal, grime, blues, folk, pop, with a smattering of electro, hip-hop, indie and grunge, not forgetting punk, then join me, Paul, for the Alternative Wixtape at 11pm on Wickham Sound 106.6 FM every Sunday. I can even guarantee that the weather will be fine.
This is Wickham Sound.
Uber à 19h, tu me prends en bas de chez moi. Tu donnes le nom de la boîte, ta CB va transpirer. Au bar à 22h, toujours pas prêt à danser. Encore un peu trop froid, t'es qu'à ta 3e vodka. Lâche-toi, lâche-toi, oublie tes inhibitions. Lâche-toi, lâche-toi avant de toucher le fond. T'as pas payé à l'entrée pour voir les autres s'enlacer. Quand tu m'as invité, j'espérais bien t'embrasser. Et puis je me suis maquillée exprès pour t'émoustiller. Mais vu ce que t'as consommé, tu risques pas de remarquer. Lâche-toi, lâche-toi, j'ai envie de m'amuser. Lâche-toi, lâche-toi, je suis venue pour danser. Oui, j'aime la tequila, mais j'en veux pas, me force pas. Non, franchement, non, merci, ça va. Si j'attaque Malibu, je cracherai la tête dans le cul. Trop tard le bip. Et puis, je suis pas venue pour venir bourrer dans la rue. Les néons des urgences cachent mon teint d'ingénu. Lâche-moi, lâche-moi, je suis venue pour oublier. Lâche-moi, lâche-moi, tu commences à me saouler. Lâche-toi, lâche-toi, oublie tes inhibitions. Lâche-toi, lâche-toi, avant de toucher le fond. T'as pas besoin de ça pour être heureux dans ta vie. C'est un cercle vicieux, t'en auras jamais fini. La musique de Kéké craint autant que le DJ. Je suis prête à rentrer. Tu pourrais me raccompagner? Et c'est là que GG se met à se déhancher. Sauf que moi, ton état, il est à ma volupté. Lâche-moi, lâche-moi, tu es vraiment trop bourré. Lâche-moi, lâche-moi, j'appelle la sécurité. Lâche-moi, lâche-moi, plus question de t'embrasser.
This is Wickham Sound.
That was Je rentre à pied by Faiblesse Parfaite, and before that we had Straight Eights with Mustang Sally, their version of the Wilson Pickett song. I think my French must be coming along because I don't understand every single lyric in that song, but I understand a fair amount of it. And the title, Je rentre à pied, means, like, I return on foot, right? Pretty sure that's what it means. That's from their new EP as well, it's a single called Party Girls Don't Get Hurt. There are a couple of different tracks on that, and that is now out. Bandcamp, Spotify, all of the good places. So definitely do check that out. They actually have a new single online launch party coming this Saturday at 6 p.m. So if you look up Faiblesse Parfaite Music on Facebook, it's spelled FAIBLESSE As you can tell, they are French. So their launch party thing is, they've titled it an apéro avec Faiblesse Parfaite, which is basically like an aperitif, isn't it? So you can have your Saturday evening glass of wine before your dinner while listening to their new music. So do go ahead and join them if you can. I will also hopefully be there. So normally this is the part of the show where we would have a weekly guest join us, but this week I wanted to do something a little bit different, and it's with a heavy heart. So I heard about the passing of Lionel M. Macauley, who was a very, very talented poet and performer, actor as well. He was involved in a lot of different things. He was involved in Sign Dance Collective, which is the company in residence at Wickham Arts Centre. I'd seen him perform there several times. I always sort of followed his progress online as well. We've actually played some of his tracks on the show before, and I had been hoping to get him on the show as a guest, but obviously, unfortunately, he's tragically passed away. He was very young as well. It's a real case of, you know, the brightest fires burning for the shortest amount of time, and I mean, we're all in shock, really, and it's. For me, I didn't know Lionel particularly well. I did speak to him a few times, and as I say, I'd been, you know, following his career with interest. He was actually on I have this list of people who, just the talented people that are around in this community in High Wycombe and further afield as well. There are just so many amazingly talented people out there, and Lionel was one of those, up towards the top of my list of people to watch. Again, we'll play some of his spoken word later on in the show, and hopefully get a few people to share a few memories of him as well. But I wanted to have, I suppose, a tribute show to Lionel, again, to highlight his life. I don't particularly want to dwell on the circumstances of his death, because that's not what we're all about. We're all about celebrating his life and celebrating his achievements and the art that he made, you know. So, but we will hopefully share a few different people sharing their you know, reminiscences of Lionel as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. As I say, it's something a little bit different, and I haven't really tried this. I never thought I would have to try this, you know, but it seems right. And as I say, I had the greatest respect for Lionel and his work, and for him as a person as well. He was always a very sort of friendly, outgoing, very supportive person as well, always interested in other people and the art they were doing. And yeah, he'll be sorely missed. I just wanted to read this out as well. This is an article by Mark Renfrey, where he wrote about the Franklin community remembers Lionel M. Macauley. Again, I don't want to dwell too much on his death, because I think we should celebrate his life, and that's really what this article does. So it says, more than 200 friends and family gathered yesterday to honour Lionel M. Macauley, with calls for mourners to live their lives with blessings and gratitude, as Macauley would have wanted. Candles lined the basketball courts of Castleton Park, while those who knew and loved Macauley shared stories of his dedication to the people around him. It says, some speakers called for those in attendance to remember the people they love while they're still alive, to give roses to the living and celebrate life. The stories told painted the picture of a man who loved life and those around him, who was a common face at the basketball courts and was unafraid of playing in the paint, an artist dedicated to his craft, whether that was dance, spoken word poetry or acting, an athlete, particularly proud of his state championship winning track team, possibly most importantly, a caring friend who would help anyone if asked, and often would show up and check on friends unprompted. It says, between stories with speakers standing to the side of the court ready to play club music, a call would go out to everyone gathered. When I say blessed, you say grateful. And the words blessed and grateful rang out from the crowd and carried through the park and out into the world, spreading the gratitude and positivity that Macauley was known for. And I just think that's spot on. They've really captured Lionel's personality there. And again, this positivity with which he lived his life. And again, that's just something I really wanted to reflect here. I don't want this to be a negative thing. I think we should celebrate the fact that Lionel was with us and that he did create the incredible work that he created and that he was the incredible friend that people knew. So we recently had a lockdown art exhibition at the Art Centre just off Desborough Road, and as part of that we had the Time Project by Sign Dance Collective as an installation in the cafe space, and Lionel had contributed a piece to that, which for me almost became the soundtrack of the exhibition for me, because we had them on a loop and I was working there, so I'd hear all of the different pieces over and over again, but it's really Lionel's piece that stuck with me. He also contributed this piece that I'm about to play for you now as well, which it was called Month of June, and obviously a very timely, relevant piece, and arguably I think even more powerful now than when he first released it. So this is Month of June by Lionel M. Macauley.
As of June 30th, 2020, a total of 506 civilians shot and killed by police, 105 of them being black, of course. In 2018, there were like 996 total police shootings. Black people have the highest rates than any other ethnicity to be murdered by the hands of authority. Now it's the month of July and police shootings are still increasing. At the same time, looting are still ceasing increasing. But can you blame us? They try to frame us and then tame us into oppression from adolescence. And you wonder why we're so aggressive, why you're still possessive. I'm talking financial and economic slavery. Let's acknowledge the bravery of our indigenous people who founded America. Not Christian Columbus. When Columbus sailed that ocean blue in 1492, there were still 1,400 men and women being held in captivity. I bet most never even had a clue. You're too worried about how many Andrew Jacksons you have in your pocket, man. Google the Trail of Tears. We're talking hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of Americans being slaughtered by other Americans after they stole our faith and used our babies as alligator bait. I mean, it's nothing different from what's going on in the world today. Hey, we live in the United States of America, oh, the irony. Let's not forget about those public servants that pull out that iron, see? When he pulled that black man over, he didn't know what to do. That pigskin made him feel like a giant, so I guess he thought this Mac could do. What else I'ma do besides try to free you? While they're still financially free. Free to tweet what he wants, make racist remarks, grope married women in their private parts. I mean, it's always been like that from the start. So I had to start analyzing the alliances of this supremacist just to realize that the analogy of the atrocities are all from the atmosphere of his anarchy. Man, I wish my boy Dominic was here with us right now, because he'll be right there on the front line trying to dominate. But hold on, you're gonna get saved today, because one of us has to pave the way through faith and praise so Breonna Taylor can start singing Amazing Grace. It's time to put out an APB on the Kentucky PD, see? You killed the queen, an EMT. Oh, that's TMI, Karen? You must think that we care enough about what you think, because that man put his knee to his neck and didn't even blink. 846, that's for the next 8 birthdays a father will miss in exchange for the cop getting 6 years. Man, my people are sick, and I'm not just talking about corona. We're sick of our people going to the coroner. We just want to walk through the corridor of justice and peace, but we get no justice, no peace with racist police. That man died jogging in the streets. They wanted Ahmaud buried 7 months into the year now of the rest of people's lives. How can we change each other's lives? One step at a time. I use my words to educate my kings and queens, the new generation, no matter the gender of gentrification. Take it back to our African roots, all in the month of June.
Whites fear violence from us. We do not have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. And what you fear, it is a deep guilt thing, that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
This is Wickham Sound.
The first one in sight as you came walking in. Cat got my tongue as you came cats walking in. You came in with two friends, but did it all the talking then. Macauley Cork and flow when I get you home alone. You see, Macaulay's my last name, and it can be yours too, but will I get to know you or get to know the vibes you give the other dudes? Let me take that approach to you, because in a sense I embrace your innocence. Let the love burn slow for you like incense, so we can smoke this L through the vent and vent, so I can let you know how the L in my name stands for elements. Bump some LMA, feels like the month of May if I may. No allergies when I said your presence knocked me out in this May weather. You say whether or not you were into me from the start. You know I wasn't ignorant, I just knew how to ignore rants like Durant. But I never sell you out cause I'm a warrior. Take you to your euphoria, let you know what I can and can't do for you. But first I gotta get off your ass like Goya. I was never a serpent, just a surge to this pen with penetrating thoughts of politicking on a million, to give it back to our children and our children's children, so that the whole world can feel it. She asked me, oh you right? Yeah, you right, but not just on the weekend, because I orchestrate vibes every day, so you're not on the weekend of things. No time to pretend things are how they were in the pretense, yeah. You play defense against intensity, which is one of the reasons I admire you, and maybe inspire you to aspire to be with me, or one another. And I'm prepared for it to backfire like projectiles, so I gotta stay versatile and not end up like the unlucky dudes left in the percentile. And other dysfunctions erectile. But as for me, I'll bait you like a reptile or a raptor. Now you're caught in a rapture of the next chapter of your life. No, I'm not a rapper, just an actor that can manufacture words so you can feel it in your stature. No statute of limitations here when the sky is not the limit anymore. It's just a view of you. So I need a wife for life, so it's important that the love ain't stife or trife, when we knew the whole time that we were each other's type, right? Right. Baby, I love you every single day and night. I love watching you get ready every day like Beyonce, but every time you speak to me now, it's beyond to say. Okay. Could have been. It could have been real love, it could have been real lust, but too much lack trust and many buts without the double T's, even though we never double crossed one another. It could have been that time I met your family and they said I was blessed to have you. I wanted to dabble a little bit in your abdomen so we can cry tears of joy 9 months later, but bumped the latex cause I knew when those late texts stopped coming in there wasn't gonna be a later. It could have been day 2 of being your boo, but we choose our crew to vent to in that silver coupe, even though we already paid our dues. Shoot. Don't shoot the messenger when all we wanted was peace, love, and blessings for one another. I could have been a better gentleman before I settled then, but we let the material things get in the way, so that's when I knew what settle meant. And I could have been a better man.
This is Wickham Sound.
That was Mayweather by Lionel M. Macauley, and before that we had Month of June. And today's show is in his honour, really, and in his memory, because he very tragically passed away. He was very young, he was younger than I am as well, which really makes it hit home. And he was just such a talented guy, as you can tell from the tracks we've just listened to. We actually had an event this weekend at Wickham Arts Centre. We had a Music in the Garden event, and we played a couple of Lionel's tracks and asked everybody to have a big round of applause, in his memory at the end of that. But we also had Tabitha Gunston Pollock, who is on the Arts Centre team. She was also very close with Lionel, and she got up to say a few words about him that I'd like to share here. Yeah, over to Tabitha to say a few words.
As Dane just said, this is going to be a tribute to Lionel Macauley. He died today, a week ago. It was a case of wrong time, wrong place. And as we all know, America is not a safe place for black people at the moment. He was a really good friend of mine and an amazing friend to the Arts Centre. Just the most enigmatic, talented person I've ever come across. And he's going to leave a massive hole on this earth, but also a massive legacy. And I've got to a point of my grieving stage this week that I just want to celebrate his life. So yeah, this was his song Time. He made it for a Time project,
that ran actually in the Art Centre if anyone came to the lockdown exhibition. But yeah, I hope you like his song. Thank you.
This is Wickham Sound.
Okay, now gather around so I can talk to the gods and goddesses of the congregation. When you see melanin shining, you can't tell who the goddess is. You see, we were all modest then. The devils wore Prada and maybe had an identity, but ID profane was your only amenity. So I declare royalty for all the sovereignties, to all the times we were quarantined and left alone with our own minds to feed. Now most are just watching fees with no mouths to feed. Time to find a way to generate fees and reverse being gentrified. I'll let all these words diversify, so you can see how much your soul is divine in its prime. Ain't no time to prioritize the primaries when life comes at you fast. And I know you don't want to finish last or dwell on the past, but history repeats itself. Don't cheat yourself, because putting out acid energy through your mouth will only eat itself. Never predict the predicate before you educate and advocate. No time to contemplate when we can compensate our minds and concentrate on our own mental states. We live in states where values determined by status, when a clear hiatus turning into statistic. Let's look at the logistics. See, we were niggas before niggas, supreme rulers. Mansa Musa, the first African king worth 400 billion. See, we can't forget Queen Nefertiti. When we see strength, beauty, and power, then you know a beautiful woman has come. Let that kingdom come, or that will be done. But when you see BS on your VHS, and less CNN, if you don't CNN, to the TNT blown up all over USA, A, B, C's. We decide on who we want to coincide with. We have to abide the sweet side while listening to Mary J. Blige so we can oblige. But what's your theory? We as a people need to stop with the theatrics and the antics and figure out how we can come together and take over the atlas. Becoming actress, activist, but we choose to drink activists and act as if anyone owes us anything. The only thing we owe ourselves is dignity, instead of digging through the internet system miserably. We have the ability to combat the bigotry, mentally, emotionally, and physically, so we can figure out how we can be bigger than me, bigger than us. Let's put trust in one another, in our brothers, sisters, and mothers. Let's encourage our fathers and father figures instead of trying to figure out what the next person's figures are about. I mean, forget clout. Let's take the high route so you can sprout. As your energy taps into your energy, then that negativity becomes obsolete. Then it becomes a memory of a reverie.
This is Wickham Sound.
Fast waking up to walk out inside this humble mansion filled with motivation. No time for tantrums this morning, so what's your motive? As you riding your automotive, barely sober, shame on that person who sugarcoated all your troubles. Ain't no stunt doubles for the life that you live. This is only the morning scripture. Not to get confused with the script that I write, I possess power when I deliver these fictures. After all the push to pens to possibly to perseveres, I'm still curious as to what your mind perceives. But when you reach your limit of timid, no Percy Miller can lead you to your level of millions or billions. Time to dominate your dominions with a domino effect through intellect and dialect rather than patronize your patrons during lectures. You can save me all the texts. My lines will carve the architecture so we all can test the sweet quality of knowledge. But as we seek redemption, we have to mention that you're more than a free man. See, man? Come back from the deep end. Chase that passion. Create like Shakespeare so you can shake the sphere. Cause you're top tier and you held back tears. As for me, I just want to create visions like Spielberg, and then I spill words till the glass is half full. I'll never try to disappear, let alone disappear. I have friends that went from dealing with a briefcase to carrying a briefcase. It feels like I have to motivate the people around me in order to elevate my own self. This isn't all for self. Maybe that's what you tell yourself. You need a team to build wealth and well-being instead of being jealous of the next man. Let's all mix and master to succeed faster. This marathon we're pacing after. Then karma mix and masters the simple samples till it's magical. But no David Blaine can break you out of the blame you put on your own mind. Be mindful of the karma you put out into the world so you can carve a legacy legally. I'm not here to preach to you. I'm only here to move forward the impeachment of your negativity so you're privy. to the privilege that you create for your opportunities. But we opt to our position without creating our own position. No time to justify anything, but justify has to diversify the opposite of lies verse by verse before they find me in a hearse. It may seem black and white for now, but soon we will live in color. Most are still colorblind with 20/20 vision. As we step into 2020, we still have to embrace our 20s instead of buying 20s to smoke. Now that's a dub. And there's still time to get that W. Win it all. But you have to stay true to yourself or that'll be a W. As I wake up in Mexico this morning, fathoms of traveling to the private parts of the world in your world, which is your movie of what we call life. Time to get live and live life. No more of these trite ways of selling stiff, ripe ripples into your system and then interrupts your rhythm and flow. Let me see that hustle and flow. I use my hustle to flow on these spoken word beats instead of worrying the streets. You can hear it through my teeth. But no dentist will help you floss before you know your roots to your history. But first, you gotta tilt that crown.
This is Wickham Sound.
That was Mexico Morning, an original spoken word piece by Lionel M. Macauley. And before that, we had his contribution to the Time Project by Sign Dance Collective. So that was Isol Avila, Lionel M. Macauley, and Angelina Schramelin. We also had a few words about Lionel from the Arts Centre's Music in the Garden event, and that was Tabitha Gunstone Pollock talking about him. And she's also written a poem. I think it's the perfect way to pay tribute to Lionel. I mean, one thing that I wanted to say about him, and I'm not sure if he ever even knew this or appreciated the extent of it, but the guy was a huge inspiration. He was just so creative and a man of many talents. And he's one of those few people who he inspired other people to be creative just by being himself and just by doing his own thing. And I think this poem that Tabitha wrote is a great reflection of that. You know, it's the only way sometimes to get your feelings out, especially to something as unexpected as this. So we're going to hand over to Tabitha now to read her poem.
To know you was like unlocking a part of life I'd never seen before. Hooked on your every word, you embodied this passion, this devotion to just enjoy living. I'd watch you transform a room in awe, proving creativity is the purest form of giving. I looked you in the eye and told you how much you inspired me. Even saying those words was inspired by you, because life is too short to not tell people you're grateful. Genuine, that was you through and through. Countless conversations, nights dancing, laughing, dinners round the table shared with family and friends. I promise I'll make your life known. I promise you'll be everlasting. I'm so angry this had to happen to you. You'll be missed, Lionel. We will not stop fighting for a better America. This is not final.
As Tabitha said in her poem, Lionel's memory will live on, and this show is just my attempt to do my part, I suppose, to keep his memory alive and to share his incredible work. Again, it's still very early days. We're all still sort of reeling in shock, but I suspect over the coming months we're going to hopefully, a few of us will hopefully work together and do something, some sort of fundraiser perhaps, hopefully do some art in his memory, and just do what we can to keep Lionel's memory alive. And thank you so much for listening to his work today, and for doing your part too. Up next, we're going to have some more local music, and we're going to go with The Riverboat Song by Dizzy Fish. Obviously, it was originally by, who was it originally by? Ocean Colour Scene, I think. So this is The Riverboat Song by Dizzy Fish.
Love music, love talk, love Wickham Sound.
Inspired to develop young minds? You could teach or instruct with Buckinghamshire College Group. We're recruiting for English, maths, construction and motor vehicle teachers, as well as construction instructors. You don't necessarily need a teaching qualification, as all required training will be provided, based at our Aylesbury, Wickham and Amersham campuses. If you're looking for a career that will challenge and develop you with excellent benefits including pension and generous holidays and free parking, search Bucks College Group.
For the latest news, reviews and sport, get your copy of the Bucks Free Press this Friday. Bucks Free Press, proudly reporting High Wycombe for 160 years.
Hello, this is Chaz Large. Join me for a new jazz show here on Wickham Sound. I'll be playing tracks from all the top names in jazz, from Glenn Miller to Courtney Pine, Count Basie to Michael Bublé. Not forgetting the all-time greats like Charlie Parker, Dinah Washington, Frank Sinatra and Dave Brubeck, to name but a few. Listen out soon for Chaz on Jazz.
This is Wickham Sound.
Yo, Morel, look at where we are now, man. Beautiful. Breathe out now. Spotify, Apple Music, all of that. Yo, okay, check. Yo, look, let's talk about you being a bad man, lurking with 20 henchmen. But in the gym you can't bench 10, got powers like Ben 10. I count hours like Big Ben. I'm from England where we eat fried bread. We created grime, who said grime was dead? When Wiley released SD Beats, everybody stepped in the rave. I was old school, Sony Ericsson, Bluetooth Beats, looking for MCs to RIP. Lord of the mic take shots at me, they didn't rate my bars, now they wanna come and clap for me. 20 other man were going ham for we see Glastonbury. Some didn't make the cut or didn't blow up, it was sad to see. So if I take a flight to grind, don't get mad at me. If a cat's mixtape was whack, put it in the dustbin. Crack open a beer, middle finger in the air like Austin. Multi-genre, the way I switch costumes like, shall I do grime? Actually I feel some trap, not a cocky but I'm cocky and I am throwing jabs like a Sunday afternoon with West Ham fans. Mad, somebody tell Max they ain't no bad boys like Will. They spit a sentence, it's not real. They get a place on the bill, we stay underground and keep it trill. You can keep your 360 deal, give me the whole cake, not a piece. I'm hungover, I said I need some peace. All about the carrots when I'm all about the peas. I used to choke like a rabbit till I started going savage with 16s. Been doing this since I was 16. Bored, not seeing no big dreams. When I make it, they can kiss these. They can kiss these. Beautiful.
This is Wickham Sound.
That was Morel with his Mountain freestyle. He's a local rapper, and you can see like the video of him doing this freestyle as well if you check him out on YouTube. Morel, Morrell. I'm going to try and say this name. It was shot in Wales in, I want to say, Llyn Fan Fach, which to me, I don't know, it sounds like how you would swear in Welsh if you just stubbed your toe or something. Llyn Fan Fach! Before that we had Dizzy Fish with the Riverboat song. So we've reached that part of the show where I chat about a few recommendations for you guys. So there's always a book, a TV show / a movie and an album for you as well. So for this week's book, it's going to have to be Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. So a lot of people obviously know of Trevor Noah. I think he's the host of The Daily Show or The Nightly Show or The Today Show or one of those American TV shows with show in the title. South African born comedian, and his book Born a Crime, it's actually called Born a Crime and Other Stories, and it's kind of like a series of essays where he reflects upon his childhood, Born a crime comes from the fact that he was quite literally born a crime. He was born to a black mother and a white Swiss father, but during apartheid, so it was literally a crime for them, you know, to procreate, essentially. And so he had a very strange upbringing where, especially to begin with, he wasn't really allowed outside because obviously they didn't want anybody to call the police on them. He didn't really get to live as a family unit because his mother and father had to kind of... It wasn't exactly their shame. They were both, you know, very happy with Trevor as a child and whatnot. It was just the society they lived in. They just couldn't be together, you know. It's a bit like, you know, a German woman and a Jewish man falling in love in, you know, the 1930s or whatever. And so it is quite tragic. It's also pretty tragic what happens later on when his mother remarries, and his stepfather was not a good person by all accounts. So, yeah, it's a really heartwarming read. You won't necessarily get to know too much about Trevor Noah as a comedian, but you will get to know a lot more about him as a person and where he came from and where his roots are. And you'll also get this really sort of close-up, in-depth look at what it was like to actually live you know, under apartheid in South Africa, in some, you know, impoverished parts of the townships, when all of this sort of racial hatred was a real force to be reckoned with, you know. For this week's TV show, I've actually only really been watching stuff that I've watched before, but what I do want to mention, I guess, is that the new Bill and Ted movie is out. I've seen that the reviews aren't great for it. I can't even remember what it's called. Let me double check. It's called Bill and Ted Face the Music, and it brings Alex Winters and Keanu Reeves back to kind of reboot the Bill and Ted franchise, I suppose. I used to love those movies when I was a kid. I even read I think it was by Robert Tyne, the adaptation, like the novelization of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So it was like a bad novel of a pretty bad movie. By all accounts, this new movie isn't particularly good, but I'm going to watch it anyway, and I'm sure I'm going to really enjoy it because I used to love those films when I was a kid. In fact, if you haven't watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, then that goes for this week's movie recommendation instead. And for this week's album recommendation, I'm actually struggling because I don't listen to that many albums. However, my good friend Twangling Jack Ford does listen to a lot of albums, and he gets a lot of them from sort of charity shops and stuff as well. So hopefully he's going to be joining us in the coming weeks to share some of his picks for, you know, his top albums throughout the years. In the meantime, I guess I'm going to go with well, why not? We'll go for Johnny Cash Live at Folsom Prison. I think that's what the album name's called. And just because I saw Splash the Cash play this weekend, and they're fantastic, a local Johnny Cash tribute band. Big fan of Johnny Cash, and now I've just got him stuck in my head. So there we have it. That's about it for this week's show. I will be back as usual next week with another weekly guest. You can always email me, of course, on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. And we have a Facebook page you can find us on if you just search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound. I want to hear from people as well, any local musicians, poets, performers, anybody who's got some MP3s that we can share. I'd love to, you know, help you to get the word out about your work. So do get in touch. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you with a little bit more music. So this is Biting Back by Humans Can't Reboot. I will see you next week. Thanks a lot for listening.
Try to stay on course. Keep up the fight and show no remorse. Don't lose hope. Hope is your power and your source. Just because I'm strong enough to handle some pain doesn't mean I deserve it in any way. I'll keep fighting and give it all that it takes to never to allow defeat to show on my face. Fight back, I said fight back. Always stay on the attack. So fight back, I said fight back. Always stay on the broken to the core. All this pain inside that you keep in store. You know what is the means and what is the cause. It's time to open your mouth and bear your claws. Just because I'm strong enough to handle some pain doesn't mean I deserve it in any way. I'll keep fighting and give it all that it takes, and never to allow defeat to show on my face. Fight back, I said fight back. Always stay on the attack. So fight back, I said fight back. Always stay on the attack. So fight back. In life, when something bad happens, you can choose to let it define you. You can choose to let it destroy you. But one thing you must ensure, you must choose to track down the cure. Fight back, I said fight back. Always stay on the attack. So fight back, I said fight back. Always stay on the attack. So fight back.
This is Wickham Sound